Hello, I'm John Shepherd, and in this short video I'm going to answer some of the questions that were asked on the latest video, Advanced Plyometrics. The first question comes from a 74YBTCHA, and he asks about the foot contact times and positioning when doing drop jumps and plyometrics. Specifically mentions whether or not you should go flat-footed on a landing from a drop jump or a plyometric bound, for example. In the videos you'll see most of the guys in the training group landing slightly forefoot first and maybe then dropping down onto the heel. Now, as I did say in the reply, the type of drop jump or the type of plyometric exercise will have a bearing on the way the foot strikes the ground. However, I believe that in general that a slightly forefoot contact will enable the muscles of the ankle, knee and hip to fire much more effectively than if you were to drop down onto your heels. Now, as I've mentioned, it does of course depend on the type of exercise that you're performing. So if you're doing a series of bounds or hops, then the foot will advance in front of the body and the heel will start to come back towards the track surface. However, initially you'll strike the ground underneath the hip to create that pawing action and that contact. The heel will then drop to the surface and create a more solid plant from which to push off with. However, if you were to lead distinctively heel first, you would block your contact and slow your speed of transition into the next jump. If we were to take a look at the long jump takeoff, ideally it's flat-footed. However, the heel will strike the board as the jumper's foot contacts it. If as a coach I was to instruct the athlete to lead with their heel, the chances are they would come down too much onto the back of the foot, and this would create that braking effect and not enable the forward momentum off of the board to be as maximised as it could be. I also believe that landing slightly forefoot, as I'm indicating here, will also reduce the potentiality for injury and shock throughout the whole of the body. So by landing slightly forefoot, you're going to cushion that impact and also, as I've said, enable the muscles of the ankle, knee and hip to fire much more effectively. As a related aside, this reflects a little bit on the debate about forefoot running and the move in recent years to run without shoes or in minimalist footwear. That's because forefoot striking propels you much more naturally into the subsequent running stride, whereas if you heel strike, as I've been saying with the plyometrics, you're going to brake on each contact and slow your passage forward. Even where the athlete drops down to perform an eccentric or isometric block jump, I still recommend that the contact is made on the forefeet, as if you were to leap down and jump onto the heels, you would definitely feel that shock. Always think about a cushioned impact with the ground on the forefeet and trying to be light on your feet when you're doing plyometrics and eccentric isometric block drop jumps. The next question comes from one of the regular channel viewers, Judah D'Souza, and he's querying the joint angle aspect when doing plyometrics, and he's arguing that deeper angles when making contact with the ground should also be employed when plyometric training to create greater injury resilience, i.e. by developing strength over a greater range of movement. I'll admit that I wasn't in agreement with this, as you're going to actually put more stress on your knee joints, and if you think about it, all the athletic events require a very shallow knee bend, for example the long jump takeoff or the contacts in the triple jump and when sprinting flat out. Therefore, I like to train within that range and develop the particular qualities in the tendons as well that are required to fire the muscles from that position. When you perform a plyometric exercise, the tendons in fact instigate the initial pull on the muscle, and in fact up to about 70% of the elastic energy within that reaction on contact is initiated through the tendons. A deeper, shallower angle negates the role of the tendons, and the muscle therefore has to take on more of the movement to propel the athlete forward. However, if I were to advocate deeper angles of knee bend, for example, I would use them when we do more general conditioning, for example with single leg squats, double leg squats, leg presses for example, whereby you are strengthening the muscles over a greater range of movement. but with more control, and hopefully that will shore up the muscles and the joints and teach them to be able to withstand greater force. To this, I must also add the value of lateral movements. You'll have seen in a number of videos that the athletes in my group jump from side to side or jump over low hurdles and go laterally. These exercises, I believe, are great for shoring up the joints of the ankle, knee and hip, creating greater stability and balance and body awareness. That will translate into their actual event performance. So, one, they'll reduce the potential for injury, and two, they create a better way of producing force linearly, which is required for the long and triple jumps, for example. Therefore, there won't be so many wasted lateral movements. All the force that will be generated will go in the direction that you want it. Always start with the premise of how a particular exercise is going to benefit your jumping or your sprinting. If you do that, then invariably you're going to get the best exercise and the best training return from that exercise. Think about the movement patterns, the joint angles, the speed of the contact. If you do that and you get those as close as you can to the particular event, whether it be the long, the high jump, the triple or sprints, then in my mind at least, you're going to get the most from your training. Hopefully those answers would have cleared up some of the questions that you guys will have had regarding the plyometric exercises and the commentary made in the advanced plyometrics video. And sounding like a true YouTuber, do subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so that you'll be able to get updated on when new videos go live.